Good afternoon, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's project is part of a hop for the YouTube Paper Crafters group on Facebook. I will link the group down below in case you're interested in checking them out. They have a monthly hop that has a theme, and it is paper crafters, so there will be a number of mixed media, scrapbooking, full layouts, mini albums, cards, all sorts of things throughout the hop. And I'm going to go ahead and put all of the links to all the participants in the description box below so that you can check them out. Don't forget to like, subscribe to their channels, and let them know that I sent you. So this is the project that I'm sharing with you today. The theme is Feeling Witchy, so it is a Halloween theme. And I went ahead and just made a really simple mini album. It takes 4 pages of 8.5 by 11 for the base. It is very simple and just takes a few minutes to put together the base. And then from there, you can make it as simple or intricate as you want. I will show you I do some matting of some designer paper. So if you want to do that, it may take 5 sheets of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. But let me go ahead and show you what I've done, and then I will walk you through making the base for yourself. I just put some ribbon here. I don't often do a ribbon closure, but decided to go with the black ribbon today. And you can see that I didn't even use a lot of the designer elements in throughout the book. The cover is 1 strip of the designer paper and 1 sticker. It says Bugs and Kisses, and of course I'm calling this the Bugs and Kisses album. And I used a lot of mirror cardstock, but also glitter cardstock in this project. So it does show how you can take a few elements of designer series paper, or if you have some remnants from your favorite collections, and you can just use coordinating colors and make an album that looks completely themed and completely on point, without having to have a ton of a collection to use. So first, open up the book. So you can see here I have some mirrored cardstock and some little pumpkins. And then I have the witch's broom here. That's one of the stickers from the collection, and some more pumpkins. This first page opens up like this. I have a pocket. You can see that. And I have a tuck spot here. This also opens up again, and there's another tuck spot here. And then some of the pages, of course, I just left matted. These will fit 6 by 4 photos nicely. It is 7 1/4 by 5 1/4 base. So 6 by 4 photos fit in here really well. And so that's the first page. Here's the second page. I just used a small flap. I initially was going to magnet this, but there ended up being so much going on in this book that it really didn't need the extra closure. I put one of the cut aparts here. You can definitely put a journaling spot here or another photo. Here is some more of the paper collection. On this one, I just used one of the large cut aparts, and this is a full tuck spot underneath with some of the mirrored cardstock. And then this closes again. I love these little witches' hats. And then we have our last page. So this is just the back. I put some black glitter cardstock on here as my mat, and just one little strip. And really, if you're not going to do a ribbon closure, maybe you don't put this strip here. You can also do a ribbon closure without a cover, but that's just what I decided to do today. And that is the entire book. Just takes a few minutes to put that base together, so stick around and I'm going to show you how to do it. Here is the designer collection that I used to decorate today's album. This is a Carta product. It's called Hocus Pocus, and it is by my favorite, Stephen Duncan. I did use just a few pages of it today, but I'm going to go ahead and run this flip through rather quick in case you're interested. It is at major retailers, online retailers, so I'll link it in the description box below if you really need it to make some Halloween mini albums or cards or whatever you do. Today I'm using Astro Brights in black. This is one that I've had in my stash for a while. I recently picked up this one that indicates that it is solid core, but as far as I can tell, they are both the same. This one just didn't mention that it was solid core. So. And we're going to go ahead and take all 4 of our sheets, and the first thing we're going to do is cut them down to 7 1/4 so that they are 7 1/4 long and 11 inches high. Then the next thing we're going to do is cut one of them down to 10 3/4. So this will essentially be 7 1/4 by 10 3/4. And we're going to cut one down to 6 1/2. So this one is 7 1/4 by 6 1/4. Right? That's right. And then these last two we are going to leave at 7 1/4 by 11 inches long. And now we're going to do some scoring. Okay, each of our 4 sheets is going to be scored differently. But just keep in mind that our book is 7 1/4 inches tall. So we are going to put the other dimension up at the top, across the top of our scoreboard. So this is on the 11-inch side. And we're going to score the first one at 5 1/4, and then another at 5 3/4. Now we're going to take our page that is 10 3/4, and we're going to score it at 5 1/4. But also score it at 5 1/2. So you'll see that we have one page that has a 1/2 inch spine, and then we have another page that has a 1/4 inch spine. So these two, we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish. And we're just going to set the piece with the 1/4 inch spine inside the piece with the 1/2 inch spine. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue this piece, and I'm going to use the tool that I have out already, the scoreboard, and it has this lip up here. So I'm going to use that to kind of push both of my pages up towards the top. Like I said, we don't need it to be perfect, but we just want a little bit of room on both sides of that 1/4 inch spine. Oop. Now we've got a tiny area on this side and a tiny bit of area on this side to grow the pages as we put them in. We have 2 more pieces that need to be scored. This piece that is 7 1/4 by 6 1/4, we are going to score at 5 1/4. And so essentially, this is giving us a 1-inch flap, or little hinge, to add this page to our book. And we are just going to take this piece and we are going to go in from front cover, second page, third page, and we're just going to glue this to the third page. Now you can definitely flip it over if you'd rather that it flip back this way, but if you're following along the way I did our example, you just go ahead and glue this 1-inch hinge and slide it under there until this score meets the end of the page. Again, use the tool that you have available if you have your scoreboard out, because you just want to line it up at the top and the bottom and burnish that down. There's that. And then we have our last page, and this is another piece of 7 1/4 by 11. This one we're going to score at 5 1/4 and at 10 1/2. And you'll see that we have this 1/2 inch little spine down here, or I'm sorry, this 1/2 inch hinge. And we are going to use this to glue into our book. And we're essentially making a trifold page here. So again, we have the front cover, and then page 2. We're going to pop out this hinge. I'm going to put some glue on it. And I'm going to do the same thing as we did for the last one. I'm just going to kind of line it up and slide it underneath. Let's see here. And then this one folds in just like that. Now we have our book, and there is the base. Now in the completed album, I do have this little piece for a cut apart. So since we know that most cut aparts are 3 by 4, or at least a good 60-70% of them, I am going to go ahead and give you the dimensions for when a cut apart is 4 inches tall by 3 inches wide. And that would be to cut a square that is 4 1/4 tall by 4 1/4 wide. Whoops, wrong way. And that way, you give yourself the room for a 1-inch score mark. And that would fit your 4 by 3 cut apart with just a little bit of the black matting in the back of it. And then if you have one that is 3 inches tall by 4 inches wide, you are going to cut this down to 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. Sorry, that's out of frame. Then you're just going to cut or to score at 1 inch on this long side. That's interesting. It's an interesting noise for it to make. And then you see you have your 1-inch hinge and room for a 3-inch by 4-inch cut apart with about 1/8 of an inch matting all around the sides. So let's go ahead and glue those in. Now this is one of those things where you can start to decorate the base of your album you just want to glue down these little hinges for these flaps prior to covering this piece of paper. So you could do the entire book leaving this piece and just do this at the last minute. Now, of course, I only put one in our completed book here, but you can definitely do two. You can see how that hinge is just under that piece of orange glitter cardstock. If you wanted to do two, just because, you could definitely do it exactly the same way. You have the dimensions. They're just going to overlap themselves a little bit. Actually, I need to push this way. And so, again, feel free to use whatever tools you have available to line up your score marks. Try to get them as straight, as even as possible. And then this one as well. We want to go ahead and put the second one in. And there you go. So you can see for my book, I matted all of my pages with either glitter stock or mirror stock. I guess this isn't really mirror stock, it's more of a metallic. And then I went ahead and put the designer paper over it. You don't have to do that. You can definitely cut your designer paper the width of these sheets. And so let me show you. I'm just going to go ahead and use a piece of white cardstock because I have it handy. But you can see, here's the completed book. This dimension is 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. So this piece of glitter cardstock is 5 by 7. So really, when I make an album, most of the time, I'm assembly line constructing it. So I will pick out my papers and just go through and cut as many 7 by 5 sheets as I need. So I think in this case it was 16, 8, 4, 12, 14, I think. So you can see that I just cut 7 by 5 inch pieces for this first layer of matting. And each time you get that small black matte line behind the page. Same here, and same for every one, that you get that small black matte line behind this 7 by 5 piece of paper, and that way it kind of draws your eye in. It lets you use some different colors and have some interest without using a ton of your designer cardstock. And then for the designer cardstock pieces, I just needed them 1/4 inch smaller on each side. So I did 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. for my designer cardstock. So each of these pages that has the designer cardstock, you can see that black bit of matte behind the paper, and then you can see the plain or glitter or mirror or metallic cardstock as well. So that doesn't really cut down on a ton of how much designer cardstock you use, but it does, like I said, add interest without using a bunch of your designer cardstock from a collection that maybe you don't have a ton of pages from, or from a collection that maybe you want to stretch to make 2 or 3 albums out of. So that's it for my Bugs and Kisses mini album. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button. You can subscribe to my channel, that's free to you. If you want to be notified when I post more content or when I do a live event, all you have to do is hit the notification bell, and it gives you a couple of options. And don't forget to check out the videos of all the other participants in this hop. I'm going to link them in the description box below, and also a few of the supplies that I used in this project. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget, safety first.